Good morning, listeners. The date is February 19th, 2024, and you are listening to episode 7 of a New Era podcast. My name is Hanson, better known as Fryddy Online, and I am here with my dad, the OG Frid. Dad, would you like to say hey to the listeners this morning?
Yeah, hey listeners. What's up?
How's your weekend here?
Yeah, weekend was, you know what, for a weekend that first weekend we don't have football.
Mm-hmm.
Was it going to be a scary sports weekend? And I don't think so.
I don't think it was. I don't think it was either. I know it is kind of sad with no football, but we had a good slate of stuff go on this weekend. Some of the stuff that we'll get into shortly here. NBA All-Star Weekend, college baseball is back. You know, we had a big UFC event that I'll touch on here too shortly. So we had a good sports weekend. It's definitely weird without the football, but we made do. So before we get into some of these events of the weekend, you got anything you want to say right off the start here, or are we good to jump into some of these?
Well, I was just going to, just go into the weekend. I mean, Genesis Invitational. Again, I got to throw that golf out there, the old man golf. Another huge comeback from a player few strokes back. I mean, so 2 weekends in a row we've had comebacks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I saw something on Twitter about that. I didn't watch that. I wasn't watching any of the Genesis. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. And again, hitting the irons just within inches, 2 feet, couple, I think it was 15 and 16 came back within 2 feet, just sank some putts. I mean, so he came back. And again, the leader, 54-hole leader, loses. And it was really interesting. I was watching, obviously I was watching it yesterday. Patrick Cantlay and Xander Schauffele were a full hole behind. So when it started, and they were talking about rain coming in and all that, and they showed, I think Luke Loft was hitting off a 7, and you just saw these dark clouds out in the horizon, and they were saying, okay, so those guys are on 7, and Cantlay and Schauffele were on 5. So we're a full hole behind. And obviously, big talk was pace of play. And it wasn't Cantlay playing slow. He was on the clock. He was perfect. It was just the other guys were playing faster. But it was a big little story about it. And Cantlay just could not close it out.
That's tough, but good that we have it every weekend, right? Something else to see. Another shot every weekend. You go out there and you don't win one, and try again on Thursday. So there's the Genesis, like I said, the bigger story of the weekend probably, even though it was in fucking Indiana, was the NBA All-Star Game. I don't know how much of this you watched. I had it on briefly last night and was just watching them, dude. Whatever. I mean, the game doesn't take, it's not taken too seriously by some of these guys. And I mean, they're just dropping 3-pointers and dunks all throughout the game. But East was en route to a 211-186 win. And seeing above 200 points, I think the last time I've actually seen over 200 points on an NBA scoreboard was probably once I did that to you in 2K a couple of years ago. I don't think I've seen above 200 since then, right? This is new. But what I think Lillard won the 3-point contest again, maybe? Yes. No. Yes. Yeah. He won the 3-point contest again. Steph Curry won against Sabrina Ionescu in the 3-point challenge. That was cool. That was very cool. Mac McClung won the slam dunk contest again. gonna say I was a little sad. I wanted Jaylen Brown to actually show out there a little more, and he wasn't. It was kind of stinky, but
No, I mean, he obviously, I think, came through and had a number of great dunks that, I mean, point wise, they gave him, even though they kept on saying, original or nothing.
yeah.
And then at the same time, somebody else yells out, he's a lot more, has more character or flair than I even thought. But the power, oh my God.
Mhm. See, and that's the thing. Like, when I heard him wanting to participate in it, I was like, he's a good athlete. He could get up. This could be interesting.
Yeah.
And I guess I just had huge expectations for him, just because I've seen him in game and pull out these dunks and stuff like that. But then you get in there and you only get so many tries, and I think they had a different thing with the minute and 30 seconds this year. I mean, I don't know. I think he had some boring ones. I know he was getting booed a lot from a lot of people. That one where he jumped over Kai, where Jason Tatum gave him the alley oop there, and he jumped over Kai. I mean, Kai's like 5'3" standing up, and you had him sitting down, and you're a basketball player that could absolutely clear Kai, and I don't know. I feel like he could have done more. I also just feel like Jaylen Brown doesn't give a fuck. Like he's not out here crying about not winning the All-Star game or dunk or whatever dunk contest. We got bigger fish to fry.
Well, he wanted to do the D Brown little hide his eyes kind of thing, and he did that late.
Yeah, he did. It was super late. He's like already on the ground and started to do it. I was like, I see the effort, but oh well.
And I loved the left-handed dunk though. That was nice.
Yeah, it's all the people saying that he couldn't use a left hand. That was
I
mean, it's cool. The dunk contest has just gone downhill though. Ever since Darren Gordon, Zach LaVine, one man, it doesn't get good.
You've done all these dunks for years. I mean, I think what they have to do, I've always thought this, since all these dunks have been created and now they're being recreated. Again, the old D Brown, blindfolded type thing. Do some alley oops. Bring some of that. I mean, yes, Mac jumping over Shaquille was obviously very impressive for a 6'2" guy. But I mean, do some alley oops, do stuff like that. Not just individual. Yes, you're bringing out someone, but they're standing still and you got to grab the ball. I mean,
yeah, I want flashy. I want flashy. I want cool.
I think some alley oop thing would be flashy enough.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's Friday or Saturday night of All-Star Weekend. The 3-point contest is cool, but like if you think of all the events that they do leading up to the All-Star game on Sunday, that's the one that like is Saturday's thing. The people look forward to Saturday for the dunk contest and a little bit for the 3-point contest, and I mean, sure, the skills contest too, whatever. I mean, it's just like an obstacle course, but the dunk contest is the big thing, bringing you in there. But all right, enough about All-Star Weekend. I will say though, I really wanted to see. I didn't think it was going to happen because the freaking Boomer Dame had to go out here and win the MVP. But I thought it would have been really cool to see Tatum go back-to-back All-Star Game MVPs.
Well, two interesting things I loved. You start off the telecast with an interview with Tatum. That was really cool. And for him to sit back and say, which I thought was really unusual, but the first time he ever met Larry Bird was there.
Yeah, it was this weekend. I mean, just speaking of Tatum, there was something I actually just sent. I sent this tweet to myself or to our podcast account over the weekend because I see this stuff and don't want to forget about it. Jason Tatum was asked about like his MVP candidacy.
Oh yeah,
and I mean, because he's a great player and he should be. I mean, if you're looking at it the right way, he should be a top 3 MVP guy right now. But I mean, you're seeing some of the Kia MVP ladders and stuff like that. Put him at 5 or maybe not even in the top 5. He mentioned how he think the Celtics 2022 championship loss to the Warriors has changed how people view not only just him, but the whole team. And I mean, there's always going to be haters for Boston sports. Let's just put that out there now. We know that there's a lot of success that comes with being a player in the city and being a fan of sports in the city. And so you're already going to get some hate. Um, and I feel like, you know, he might be correct there, in which, you know, he deserves an MVP, but people want to see us get over the hump. People want to see the Celtics win one. And until they do, they're still going to use that and continue to shit on Tatum as best as they can about, yeah, well, you know, great player putting up these numbers, has his games or whatever, but can't win when it matters, blah, 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 shit like that. So we'll see, hopefully, like, the turnaround this year and what they do in the playoffs, as we both anticipate hopefully becoming NBA champions in a couple of months, will change this narrative up for them a little bit. But
yeah, I think I heard Shaq was mentioning, or maybe it was Kenny, that they don't think he would be a candidate for MVP until they win a championship, which really
just fucking okay. Well, then keep that
Joel
same energy. Yeah,
but
keep that
Joel
same
Embiid
energy
did.
for exactly for every other player in the league. Then
Yeah.
every other one outside of, you know, fucking Nikola Jokic, keep that same energy for them then, because, you know, I don't want to hear shit about, oh well, Devin Booker could be having a better season than Jason Tatum, but now we're talking about it's stupid, man. It's really, I know there's just unwarranted hate, and it's because he's in a Celtics uniform. But yeah, all right, well. It's enough about All-Star Weekend. We'll get back into actual NBA games, I think on Tuesday. I'm looking at it right here. Tuesday or Thursday? Somewhere around there. Yeah. Whoever it may be. We'll get back into, I would say, the second half of the year, but I mean, they're like 55 games in. Like, this is just, they're getting into the home stretch. Next thing.
Yeah, now this is when the NBA really...
Yeah, now we really start looking, right? Now we really start paying attention. Let's move over to the other winter sport. Our Bruins are on a bit of a skid right now. 4 straight losses, I believe, going into a game today.
Last night. They won last night.
They did? Okay,
Yep.
yeah. I know I wrote this down. Yeah. No, they didn't. They didn't even play last night. You're thinking about Saturday. That was the Kings game in OT, and they lost that one too. Kings 5-4 to OT, Kraken 4-1, Lightning 3-2, Capitals 3-0, and then beat the Canucks on the 8th for our most recent win. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm not nervous.
I'm not
nervous. I mean, you know, you got to lose some. The team's still in second place in the East. I think the only team we're behind is the Panthers right now. To see that the last game we won was against the Canucks, who are the number 1 team in the league right now, I believe, still, and they are damn good. To shut them out for a win, that's not bad. The Capitals, that's a shitty loss, but I'll be fine with a loss to the Lightning or the Kraken or the Kings too. I just hope getting back today against the Stars, we really got to turn it around, because, you know, this is kind of a rough stretch that they got going on here. You got the Stars, who are a good team. You got the Oilers, who almost made history about, you know, a week ago, coming up on Wednesday. You got the Flames on Thursday. Don't really care about that one. You got the Canucks again, the Kraken again, who just beat you, and then the Golden Knights. This is a really tough 6-game stretch coming up. But if you get out of here, it doesn't get any better with the Islanders, Maple Leafs, Oilers, Leafs, Blues, and Penguins. So it's like, this is really the time they gotta hunker down a little bit.
Well, they did it last year. Same thing.
They did. Well, yes and no, because I mean, we just rarely lost games last year. But I do have a note here of I'm fine losing these, because, you know, they're being strategic, they're being smart, they're avoiding the President's Trophy, because look what happened last year when we got the President's Trophy. They had to lose a couple. They had to make sure that the Canucks and the Panthers were in line to get that. Very smart of the Bruins, honestly. Very good time to pull out this card and lose 4. But outside of that, you said you're not worried, and you think we'll be able to turn around today. It's actually, Oh,
It's
we
a
got
1 o'clock
midday hockey. I know.
one
Let's
o'clock
go.
matinee. Yes,
Oh, awesome.
good old President's Day little hockey.
It is President's Day, isn't it?
Yeah, it
Thought
was
I would have had.
exciting. I was able to hit a.
Thought I would have
Or
had today off or something.
I did a lot of bets early so that I can hopefully win.
Yeah. Yeah.
And no tennis. I didn't have to do that.
Good. We're getting somewhere. All right. Well, there's the Bruins. Let's turn around today against the Stars, and obviously, I mean, this rough week. What, that Kraken game is next Monday, so we'll have the Stars, Oilers, Flames, Canucks games to talk about for next week. See if we can turn it around from that 4 game skid. Moving on to the next one. The big thing about the weekend, something that I am so excited for, and I love this fucking time of the year. I was so pumped, and I'm still so pumped after the sweep of the Pirates this weekend. College baseball is back, ladies and gentlemen. This is absolutely awesome. This means it's the first step towards bringing back the MLB. We got that in, I think, 38 days for opening day. Getting very excited. I love me some baseball, but I've become such a bigger fucking college baseball fan, man. And when you go out there and you see your team absolutely just beat the shit out of another one, 16-2 on Friday, 7-0 on Saturday, and 7-0 on Sunday, and start out the year 3-0.
Yeah,
It's gonna be a good year. It's gonna be a good year, man. I hope they're Omaha bound, and that's the Pirates. I know you're about to ask that.
No.
Good old
I wasn't gonna ask that. I was gonna ask. You went to the game on Saturday.
Saturday. Yeah, on Saturday.
Where'd you guys sit?
Oh, I was straight left field. Right left field, like right up on the wall. They even had the it was open enough that, oh my God, we had a group of fucking 10, 15 people, and we were heckling like it was our day job. The left fielder was not having a good time out there. I'm pretty sure if you go like watch the repeat on ESPN, you might be able to catch some of what I said in the backward. I don't know.
I was gonna say that first Cunningham's home run in the bottom of the second, that went nearly over you guys, or
Yeah.
I thought
I was a little more left, but yeah, I mean,
okay.
You see it, and
I
that one was awesome.
I saw someone who I thought was you catch that ball and give it to a kid.
No. Oh, you think I'm giving that ball to a kid? If I catch that?
I mean, it had that same dark beard hat that, throwing over your hoodie like you do with a hat. Yeah. I really thought it was you. I was like, oh my God, my son's on TV.
I mean, I've been on TV before through them
the
late. Yeah. But no, if I catch a homer, that's not going to a kid. What? I don't. Never mind.
I mean, it is Ryder.
Yeah, it was, and they're not good, but we were dominant all weekend. And I don't know if you saw that one. I think it was actually in Friday's game, first game. That 6th inning, JJC had an absolute banger of a home run. That thing went yard. But the coolest story of the weekend that you're hearing everywhere, and it was all over SportsCenter. This is also why I wanted to bring this up. Parker Bird, ECU Pirates player, becomes the first player in NCAA history to play D1 in a D1 game with an amputated leg. It was an awesome sight. That's the one thing I really wish we weren't beating the shit out of Ryder on Friday for. Like, I wish it was a close enough game, because when I went on Saturday, I wanted to be there for that moment. I mean, I saw it, and the videos are everywhere, and it's getting pushed by SportsCenter and all this, and it's a great moment. But dude,
I'm
awesome.
actually getting chills again.
It was so cool, and for somebody that only now is this story being brought up, to the national stage and everything like that. But for somebody who's been hearing about this for a year and a half since he got into that accident, he was very highly touted, going to be a great player, and then this happens in the summer of 22 in just a fucking freak automobile accident, I think, or boating accident.
Boating accident.
Yeah, and then you get to a top 10, top 15 program in the country, and then you got to worry about not only just rehab from any injury, but rehab of an injury of this magnitude is huge. And To see him be able to walk out there, to hear it, you see it from the video. I mean, there's video of his parents, tearing up, walking to the plate. And the stadium was just so loud, and all of the love that you could feel for Parker Bird was absolutely crazy. And then I know it wasn't the first time that it happened, but he came back out again on Saturday, and it was so cool, man. And I mean, especially on Friday, the first game of the year, you bring him out there. He takes a 5-pitch walk, and then you take him off. He gets his ovation and stuff. It was absolutely awesome, man. There's some of those moments that you watch back, and you're like, this is bigger than sports. This is bigger than the game. This is why you love to see shit like this.
I mean, great for the program to keep his scholarship or keep him on the team. I mean, unbelievable job for that baseball program.
Yeah, man. I mean, shout out to the Pirates for a great weekend. Shout out to Parker Bird for being able to, come back and be out there, man. And I wish him nothing but the best. And I was telling my buddy at the game or after the game on Friday, after we saw all the videos and stuff like that, I was like, I only hope this continues to get better. Because can you imagine? Just set the scene right now, right? End of the year. We're hosting a regional again with a super regional on the line as a top 8 seed. And we go up there and it's a tie game, and offense has been pumping all game. So is it for the other team. You're in extra innings. It's like 8-8. You've gone through so many people on the bench. Who do you bring up as a pinch hitter? Because you need somebody now. It's Parker Bird. And Parker Bird sends 1 yard into the jungle to walk off. I can't even think about it. I mean, it would be absolutely incredible.
Do you think they're going to put him in the field at some point?
I don't think so. I think he'll be, if anything, as for this year at least, more of just a pinch hitter sort of situation. Maybe next year get him into the field a little, but you saw him after he got the walk. And I mean, of course, no disrespect to him. The guy had his fucking leg cut off. Yeah. There is, you can tell when he was walking down the first, as much as he has been rehabbing with it and everything, you could still tell he's a little uncomfortable with the walk. There's a little bit of a limp, and I feel like he'd be fine to move and get there. But when you're, running, you got to be, full speed, plenty defense and stuff like that. And you don't know the flexibility in his range there. And I don't think he's going to want to push himself there yet. But
wasn't he projected as a infielder, shortstop, or something?
Yeah, I think it was second. I believe it was second. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So he's going to have to either play a corner outfield or maybe first base.
Yeah. But all right, enough about the college baseball then. I mean, we got it. This season started, so now we got this for the next couple months.
They're playing tomorrow night at Campbell.
They are. You should go to the game.
I'm gonna look. Yeah, 5:00.
Pretty cheap, dude. I got my ticket for $10.
Yeah,
and then we play Carolina next Saturday.
You play Carolina.
Yeah, I know. So that'll be big. But we'll continue to touch on college baseball throughout the season, as it's another thing that we enjoy and love to talk about here.
In Greenville.
In Greenville, yes. Yeah. Moving on from college baseball to the pros here. We got MLB spring training starting up on Thursday, I believe it is. Majority of games are Saturday. That'll be the first game for majority of teams. But we got Dodgers, Padres, 3:10 on Thursday. White Sox, Cubs at 3:05 on Friday. Royals, Rangers at 3:05 on Friday. And Padres, Dodgers play again on Friday too. Oh, and Diamondbacks, Rockies. But then you got everybody else on Monday. I know I think the Sox play then against Orioles. Okay. 1:05 on Saturday. I don't know about you. I'm not really ever the biggest spring training guy. I'm happy to see that they're out there because that means we're like a month away from baseball. But I think maybe this year out of any, with us being, kind of younger and, they've got some guys in the farm system. And we don't necessarily anticipate us being, championship contenders or anything like that.
No,
You got to
yeah.
think. You got to think that spring training almost as sure means a little more to us than we've seen in the previous years. Yeah.
Oh yeah, a lot of position. Well, I shouldn't say a lot of positions. I mean, I'm looking right here. They're talking about the opening day roster. I think the only questions you have regarding the outfield situation, plenty, I think, of opportunity there, or you have enough players, but can you get everyone enough at bats? The kid Rafaela, we're talking about, does he make center field? He'll get every opportunity, which also got me a little bit confused because you already see Alex Cora saying Duran's my leadoff hitter. So if that's the case, is he going to be in right, which is a very big right field? So I think he can play there. Just worried about his arm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think the team and obviously starting pitching, but Bello, I think, will have a good year. Pavetta always does what he does. I love the Cutter Crawford. That's a name, huh?
That is a name.
And
It's
then
not even with a C. K.
Yeah.
Cutter.
K.
So
Cutter.
sick.
And then Whitlock. I don't like all the rumors about Kenley Jensen getting traded. I understand, 16 million, blah, 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 but Red Sox have the money. You need him to close out, I think, some games this year.
You do, but it's one of those things where it's just like, if we get a little deeper on into the year and you realize,
oh yeah,
we really aren't making a push, you got to get something for him. He's getting a little older.
I would, but not here at the start of the year.
No, definitely not the start of the year. I like what you're saying there. But yeah. Oh, you had mentioned Durant. Do you see how fucking jacked he got this offseason?
Yeah,
he's huge, dude. And I know I've always loved Durant. I don't love some of his offensive inconsistencies that we've seen over the last couple of years. You'll have like a stretch where he's hitting like 350 or something. He's looking great. And then you'll have a stretch where he's hitting literally 50. And I hope that he figures something out there. But defensively, with his speed, I mean, thank God for leadoff. If this goes well with Durant, this could go really well as him as the leadoff. I really like it. I'm gonna miss Verdugo and everything. And you mentioned right field. I think it's got to be. Yeah, I think it's got to be right field for him. Probably got Ruff Snyder in center and Yoshida in left. Maybe even
Tyler O'Neill.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe even Tyler O'Neill.
Tyler O'Neill in left. Yoshida's the DH.
Oh yeah. Because we got rid of Justin Turner there.
If you have Rafaela, the 23-year-old, if he makes Rob Snyder, there's just something. I mean, he's a decent. Do you? There's something about him that just. But I mean, he can play all corner outfield, or he could play all three outfields.
One of those utility guys,
Huh?
One of those just utility outfielders that we love to have.
Yeah. One thing I'm looking at here too, I absolutely love keeping Bobby Dahlbeck.
Yeah, Bobby.
I love Bobby.
Bobby Rockets. I love Bobby. Hopefully Bobby goes and hits like 69 home runs this year or something, and we can be all aboard the Bobby Dahlbeck train. Last thing here, I guess, about Red Sox while we're on this, I sent this also to myself on Wednesday. Wanted to keep this ready for the podcast this week. Apparently, so Trevor Story said on the 14th, this is courtesy of, who's this? Ian Brown, Red Sox beat reporter for MLB.com. Trevor Story said, "We don't like to lose and we're tired of it. A lot of people have counted us out, but we don't feel like that." It's good stuff to hear, right? As a fan. But we got to see this.
You got to see it play out. And you got to see Trevor have a full, 100. He needs at least 130 some odd games.
Just some other last things here then. Tristan Cashley said his plan is to play for the Red Sox his entire career, but he's yet to receive an enticing extension offer. What else? I think that was all that I had. And then we had some trade with the Royals, I think 2 days ago, for some John Schreiber, or I don't know. These were like minor
relief
pitchers.
Relief pitcher. Yeah.
One last thing before because this is so funny to me. You remember when we moved on from Xander because we got Trevor Story and his biggest thing was he didn't want to play second base?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, now the San Diego Padres came out on Friday and announced that Xander Bogaerts will be moving to second base this year. Isn't that fucking funny? Whatever. I'll hold my tongue on it, but yeah, okay. That's what you get, I guess. I don't know. I loved Xander, but all that
he
just
was
for,
you ended up
he's
getting
literally
Xander.
on he's on my wall right here.
Got a Xander jersey out back there on the wall, but
fucking crazy. Okay, and the last sport news of this weekend before we move on to our fun podcast today. I know you're not the biggest. I don't think you're the biggest UFC guy, but we did have a pretty historic UFC 298 card on Saturday. Alexander Volkanovski, one of I'd put him down there as the greatest of all time featherweight, one of the greatest MMA fighters of all time in UFC, loses his featherweight belt to Ilia Topuria, the 14-0, now 15-0 world champion Spaniard. Alex, a lot of people going into this fight were calling for, is he getting too old? Can he break the 35 curse? That's a big thing. After 35, you start to decline. Volk's one of a kind, though, and you thought it was going to be a little different. Did you see the knockout? I'm sure you saw it everywhere, but if not, I would definitely recommend pull that up right now. Google Volkanovski knockout. We can get your live reaction here.
Okay, all right.
And it's a good, it was a good fight at least through the first round. I think I had it 10-9 to Topuria through the first. I actually tweet out through the main events throughout UFC. I live tweet out regular scoring and stuff like that. So that was up on my Twitter all of Saturday. But then, even the champ is still susceptible to getting chinned up when you get hit by that punch that Topuria thrown. It was pretty amazing. Dude absolutely folded like a pretzel. And it was sad stuff. That would have been his sixth title defense. He's been holding the title since 2019. It's going on 5 years. Very, very impressive run, a very impressive era of featherweight UFC, but sad to see it come to an end. You having trouble there finding it?
No, I'm just going through a bunch of little stuff here, and I don't see anything that's gonna come up and show me this.
Volk Topuria. I can probably find this for you faster. Knockout 298. Is this it? I'm not sure.
I'm seeing him walk on up here. That's not
We'll keep looking for it just if you find it. But yeah, it was a good card outside of that too. We've got some good cards coming up. UFC 299 in March may be one of, if not the best card of all time. And then 2 months on April 13th, we've got UFC 300, which Dana White has called the biggest card in UFC history. He announced the main event this weekend, so a bunch of big stuff, the MMA world going on, and it'll be excited to see how these next two pay-per-views end up going.
And you're going?
No. Oh, I thought about it though. I will say for $299 is that good of a card that once pre-sale tickets went up, I think it was January 16th. It's in Miami. I've actually got a buddy that's going. I thought about going and legitimately getting a hotel and flight down to Miami just to see the card. But I mean, you were talking nosebleeds at like fucking $850, and I was like, I'm good. I'm not doing all that. It was very expensive.
Oh, he's just
Oh,
crumpled up.
oh, yep.
Oh, and the
I
fans are
know.
going nuts.
I know. See, that's what I'm saying. Like a pretzel, right? Just absolutely. And as a guy who's such a Volk fan, man, and has been for so many years, you see that was deflating. Just absolutely deflating.
He does
I was
not
so
even know what
sad.
happened to him.
No, just clean knockout. It was a
Wow.
great punch.
Hey, speaking of UFC,
Yeah.
have you seen on Netflix The Return? I think it is. Is that Dan Whitlock or?
I don't know what you're talking about. Let me see. You said The Return?
Yeah, the guy who just shattered his leg off of a kick.
Oh, not Dan Whitlock. Are you thinking? I mean, one of them I'm thinking. Is it Chris? No. Like Chris Weidman?
Oh yes,
Is that
yes,
him?
yeah.
Yeah, The Return. I have not seen this. I didn't know this was a thing, but I definitely will watch this because, yeah, that was. I remember that injury. That was against. I think he broke it against Anderson Silva. Absolutely just shattered, just shin to shin. That shit hurts. I'm sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
did you watch it?
I have been watching it.
Oh, okay.
It
I
is.
need something to put on throughout the day then.
Yeah, no, it's cool to see how human they are and his return, and his rehab from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, been watching that.
Well, I'll definitely give it a look then. All right, so that'll wrap up our weekend recap, I guess. Maybe we should start doing something like this more if we don't have actual segments to do instead. It was 37 minutes of recap, but we got through a good amount of stuff there, and now we can move
one last
over.
recap. That's today is the Daytona 500.
It is.
Got washed out over yesterday, so it'll be today.
A rare Monday one. That'll be fun. Okay, so we outside of that weekend recap, we do have one pretty cool segment planned here for this episode. Dad, I'm gonna actually let you take it away here because this was your idea. So why don't you share with the listeners what exactly we're doing here?
Well, looking at our previous 6 episodes, and we want to thank everyone who's downloaded so far and watched them. We're just so thrilled and excited, and I know that I keep on telling your mom, oh, we have another one, and the numbers we're getting to were just outside of 130 downloads. And again, please continue. Thank you, and please continue to listen to our old man and young guy take here, and questions. Please send those through. And again, at the end, Hanson will recap how to do that. But I think it was episode 2 where we did our top 10 players in our lifetime, which I think was interesting to a lot of listeners.
Episode 3, by the way.
Episode 3? Okay.
Yeah.
Episode 3, which I know a local friend of mine actually enjoyed, as he put it, keep the old guys, keep those ideas and bring back those older teams. So again, we're going to do a top 10 episode, but this time it's the top 10 teams from New England in our lifetime. So again, Hanson was born in 99, so he can only do anyone from that period of time through. And for you wondering, yes, I'm a lot older than that, but I only got to New England in 78. So I can only do anyone from 78 to now.
Okay. That was a question. I didn't know if you were going to pick, like, just back when you were alive, get some of those back end Celtics days. I mean, it wasn't the greatest.
No.
What was the greatest one? Like 64, 65? I think I was looking this up.
68, 68, 69 team was good, but
Valentin.
yeah,
I
but
mean,
no.
yeah.
Back then I was rooting on the Bills, the Sabres, and yes, even some Boston Braves. I mean, Buffalo Braves. Buffalo Braves.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Well,
so I can only do 78.
I only got 99.
And you got 99.
This will be cool. So we're going from 10 to 1 here, right?
Yeah, 10 to 1. I think you start off this time only because I figure I'm going to have a couple as well.
I do have 1, 2, 3. I've got 4 honorable mentions too. Where should I put these in? At the end or right here?
At the end. Do them at the end.
Okay. All right. Well, number 10 on my list then of the best Boston sports teams that I have seen in my lifetime. I got to tell you, man, I know I texted you about this last night and you probably woke up to it this morning. This was so tough, this list. Because I think going into it, I think I had like 8 of the 10 that I knew had to be there. But then you get all like 10 on the list, and then I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, this team could beat this team. And like, this team had more playoff success, but this team just had the it fact. I went through this list for a good like 3 hours last night, just moving people around, blah, blah, blah. And I finally got to the end and you were like, you know what? I'm not going to touch it. I think this is good. I think it makes a lot of sense. And once you hear it all the way through, I think you'll agree. But number 10. I've got the 2014-2015 Patriots, who played the Seahawks in the Super Bowl there. The 12-4 2014 New England Patriots. That, this is, while it wasn't the greatest regular season out of all the teams that I have on this list, remember, this is the year that we had that loss to Kansas City, 41-14, and we got the famous, we're on to Cincinnati, and then we go out there and put up 43 points on the Bengals. There was a lot of shit just going on this year, and they just went out there and they kind of just kicked ass, man. From week 5 to week 12, they won all of these games. Just get a load of this. You ready? All Bengals 43-17, Bills 37-22, Jets 27-25, Bears 51-23, Broncos 43-21, bye week, Indianapolis Colts 34-20, Detroit Lions 34-9. This team, when they got moving halfway through the season, they were an absolute monster. Then you get into the playoffs, and we're all obviously going to remember the double comeback game where we had the Julian Edelman to Danny Amendola pass in the divisional game against the Ravens, came back, won that game 35-31. Then we had the absolute rout of the Indianapolis Colts, 45-7. Yeah, and this is when they started bitching about the Deflategate balls because they just stunk and got absolutely manhandled that game. And then, of course,
it was pouring. It was raining too.
I think it was, or it was. I don't think it was pouring, but I think it was
not pouring, but it was a rain.
Yeah, and then obviously we go into the Super Bowl against the Seahawks. You come back from being down 14 in that fourth. The unbelievable catch by Malcolm Butler. This may have got on the list just because of, over some of the other honorable mentions I had, because of the whole Malcolm Butler interception. Our only undrafted free agent going out there and making that play. But I think a lot of it too that made me put these guys top 10 was, yes, while they were 12-4 and it wasn't the best regular season we have seen of some of these teams that I have on this list, it's the resiliency in the playoffs. To come back down 14 twice against the Ravens in the first round, to go out there and just manhandle the Colts and just get rid of business, and then to go out there and come back against the Seahawks in the biggest game of your season and make that interception. This team was super resilient. They were a good team, and they got better down the stretch. That's where I got them at number 10.
Okay.
Who you got at number 10 then here?
I have my number 10 is the 2010-2011 Boston Bruins.
Okay.
I just think that, ended up having a great selection, Tyler Seguin, to, continue being some great centers that they have. Milan Lucic had that power forward mentality. David Krejci did very well on that first line as well. But I think of everything, the story had to have been Tim Thomas. I mean, who was Tim Thomas?
God, he was so good throughout that year.
And just stood on his head during the playoffs. And, I mean, incredible saves. That guy, unorthodox goalie that they were calling him. I mean, I just loved it. And then you had Tuukka, who was starting off, but lost it to Tim. And, I mean, just in the playoffs, that guy was just fantastic.
Yeah. I'm happy you mentioned this team because, like I said in my honorable mentions, this was actually the first one. These guys and the 2014 Patriots, I was going back and forth with switching them in for number 10. So I definitely got a lot of love for that Bruins team. The only Stanley Cup that I've seen them win. But I did keep them at an honorable mention just because, they got through it in the playoffs and went through and were pretty dominant. But you got to keep in mind too, this team through 4 of the rounds, 3 of them went to Game 7. The only one that didn't is the 4-0 sweep against the Flyers in the second round. This team, now granted, nothing against them or anything, but you got to keep in mind they were actually third in the East, behind the Capitals and the Flyers, but they go on to then sweep the Flyers in the playoffs. With them being third throughout the regular season, that is definitely what kept me with them in the honorable mentions. But if this team maybe even won the East, I think they wouldn't even just be 10 for me. I think they'd move up a little more. But it's definitely a great team. Good one. I like that one.
And that finished the sweep, if you will, that all 4 active coaches at the time. Yeah, because Terry was let go a little bit.
Terry got fired like 3 months later. Yeah,
but at the time, all 4 coaches had won.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. All right, you get to move on to number 9 here then.
Let's go move on to number 9.
All right, so this one's going to be interesting. Honestly, I thought maybe we were going to go from 1 to 10, so like this wouldn't sound so much of a surprise. But fuck it, I'm going to do it anyways. You ready for this?
Yes.
Number 9. This is going to be crazy. Number 9, a team that hasn't even won the championship. A team that hasn't even finished this season. I've got the 2023-2024 Boston Celtics already as the 9th best Boston team that I've seen in my life.
Wow.
Already. This team is number 5th in the league offensively, and number 5th in the league defensively with points per game. If you talk about like defensive efficiency or defensive rating, they're 3rd in the league. Net rating of plus 10.2, first in the league by a good margin. Offensive rating, number 1 in the league, 121.7. The team is unbelievably deep. We got snubbed with some all-star guys. Derek White and Porzingis should have been in there. But you look at it through the all-star break, this team is 43-12. 43-12. The last, I saw a stat about this. I think the last 8 times that the Celtics have started out a year through the first 55 games at this pace, I think 6 or 7 of them, and granted, it was way back, back in the Bird and Russell times. But when they've started out like this, they've won the title. I'm pretty sure they started out like this too in 2008, 2009, where they also went to go win the title, or 2007, 2008. The team is great. We were talking about Tatum earlier. You've got an MVP candidate. You've got guys 1 through 5 that you can trust. The depth is great. You're going 8 or 9 deep if you need to. The team loves each other. They're playing for each other. I honestly don't know who's going to beat this team in a 7-game series come the playoffs. If they go on to win the title, this will just further cement the point. And this, I'm probably going to end up, if they win the title this year, and you'll see where else on the list this falls into later on.
Okay.
But they will be the best Celtics team that I've seen. They will be better than the 07-08 team if they can go through and win the title. Even if they don't come out with the 66 wins, 66 and 16 in 07-08 or something, which is crazy. I mean, we're 43-12. We could have definitely much more losses on the season, but I think a full body of work, you see this team play out and what it could potentially start for the Celtics in the next couple of years. I'm not talking dynasty or anything like that. I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. But this is a damn good team. Statistically, they are very, very good and historically good. And I've got them at number 9.
Interesting. How many losses total do you think we're going to see? I'm going to say 18.
I could see that. Let me talk about your number 9, and I'll pull up the rest of the schedule here and go through this quickly in my head.
My number 9 is the first of my list of the football Patriots. I have the 2014 team.
Mm-hmm.
That's my number 9. Yeah, I think everything, and beyond the games and leading up to the Super Bowl, which you just discussed, I think you look at that draft as well and how you end up with Dominic Easley, Jimmy Garoppolo, Brian Stork. I think at the time an underrated, center was he going to fill and did play a little bit and played well. James White, you ended up drafting in the 4th round. So I think what they built as well going forward to future championships definitely was a good team.
Yeah. I was just looking at this here. I think we got 27. Yeah, it looks like 27 games remaining. I think that is. You got some tight ones in here. But yeah, I could see 18. I think that's fair. I could also see 16. I could see this team actually matching. Granted, they need to go 23-4 of the last 27, which is tough. And at a certain point, we might start sitting some guys for the playoffs. But, especially because of such a lead that we have in the East already. But yeah, I mean, they could do it. They could at least match the 07-08 team. But we'll see, I guess. Okay. No, that's awesome. Great point about the 2014-15 pick. I'm happy we have them both there, close. Moving on to number 8 here. So this one, now, this was definitely a good team. I think the reason why I've got these guys here too, is I think the story makes it so much more important of a team than, it stresses the importance so much more. Do you know where I'm going to go here?
No, I don't. I like the story. This is interesting.
I got your 2013 World Series champion, Boston Red Sox. After the story of the Boston Marathon bombing and the way that this team rallied around it, you've got the David Ortiz, this is my fucking city. That whole, just this whole season was an absolute story. It was an absolute dream. Once this team really got rolling and playing for everybody back in Boston, there was not a single team in the MLB that wanted to stand up against these guys. And, I mean, you get 97-65 throughout the regular season, almost hitting 100 games, very quietly almost hitting 100 games, too. You get into the divisional series, you whip up on the Rays 3-1, you go to the Tigers, you win that series in the ALCS 4-2, Game 6. Wasn't really ever in question. And then you go win the World Series against the Cardinals in 6 games. Granted, I'm pretty sure the series started out 2-2, but once again, it was never really within question. You got to Game 5, Sox won that one, and you're like, all right, well, here we go. This team was just destined. It was a team of destiny, destined to win it. A very good team. And it wasn't even like flashy or anything like that roster wise. But I mean, you still got just some fun guys, and Mike Napoli, Petey, you got Mr. Salisbury himself here. Shane Victorino was on this team. You got Big Poppy, good old Jared Saltalamacchia, Daniel Nava. I mean, you got guys here. Jackie Bradley Jr., Daniel Ross, Jose Iglesias, all these guys that were just playing their role, doing it the right way. The pitching of this squad was always just hilarious to me. I mean, you got like John Lester and everything there. Jake Peavy, John Lackey, who was an absolute monster during the playoffs. I think he was one of the, he had those two like clutch games. It was some stat that there hadn't been I don't think there had been like a pitcher to pitch and win in two separate elimination games in two separate series for the same team or something like that. I saw when I was looking this up, but this was a cool team, man. And so much so that even fucking Clay Buchholz got a ring, dude. So, I love the 2013 Red Sox, and I love the story behind it. That's why I got them at number 8.
Okay. This will probably be a shocker for you. My number 8 is the 2007 New England Patriots.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, a lot of build-up getting Randy Moss. Extremely impressive offense throughout the year. Looking at some of these scores here, we got 38-14 back-to-back week 1 and 2. 34 against Cincinnati next week, 34 again against Cleveland, 48-27 against Dallas, 49.
Yeah. Don't forget about the Redskins game too. Or was it the Redskins or was it the Titans this year? Yeah.
No, the Redskins 52-7. I mean, unreal putting up some of these points. 56-10 against Buffalo, but to end up falling short, I think is one of the reasons why I have them where they are.
No, this is interesting. I like this because now I like seeing where, I guess, how much you value the championship when it comes to these teams. Yeah. Obviously, this team is on my list. I'm not going to mention where yet. We will get to that in a little. 7 is a little low, I definitely think.
No, I have them at 8. Number 8.
Or 8. Yeah, 8 is a little low, but yeah. All right. Well, number 7 then, the actual number 7. This is where I have the 2004-2005 New England Patriots. I'll tell you, I don't necessarily remember this team too much. Obviously, this is very young. But going back and looking at it here from a statistical perspective, this team was 14-2 in the AFC. Points for 27.3 a game, 4th in the league. You're 2nd in the league in points against at 16.3. You got that great Belichick defense. And I mean, this was the last of the 3 for the first dynasty run for the Patriots, that they were definitely built upon the defense and stuff like that. In the playoffs, you come out here, 20-3 win against the Colts, 41-27 win against the Steelers, 24-21 win against the Eagles. This is a good team, man. Defensively very sound. Tom Brady, when we talk about his, people are always going to talk shit about his early years, and now especially where they're trying to compare him to Mahomes and stuff like that. When you're strictly just looking at the touchdown to interception numbers and the yards like that, but there's stuff that you can't just gather just by looking at game scores and looking at statistics for a whole season. This is a dominant 14-2 team. Corey Dillon on the ground had over 1,600 rushing, 12 touchdowns there. You've got a couple different receivers. Nobody that really hit 1,000, but a couple different receivers that definitely impacted the game there. Adam Vinatieri, obviously, we know. And then defensively, I mean, this is one of a stacked team of that group, of that dynasty, with the Rodney Harrisons, the Teddy Bruske's, the Eugene Wilsons, the Mike Vrabels, the Willie McGinnis, Ty Warren, Asante Samuel. I can go on and on and on about the talent of this team. But once it comes down to it, and like we said, winning a bowl, I have them at number 7.
All right. Number 7 for me is the 83-84 Boston Celtics, 62-20. And, looking at the roster, ML Carr, which you probably haven't heard of or name. I mean, just the spark plug, just one that was, shaking things up on the bench. Great team player. Loved watching ML Carr. Gerald Henderson, DJ, Larry Bird, obviously Danny Ainge. I think one of the really cool things was seeing since 1969, you ended up having them against their big rivals for championship wise. Finally in the finals, they played the LA Lakers and won that 4-3. Casey Jones, great coach, just had that team rolling, and I have them at my number 7.
Yeah, they are one of the teams that I definitely would have had included in this list if I was alive.
Yeah.
But I can't. Doesn't qualify for me. So instead, I'll Bella, you gotta move, bro. You are in my way, baby. Instead, I'll move the clock up about what's that, like 20 something years, and we'll go for my number 6. This is where I have the 2007-2008 Boston Celtics. Where I just mentioned, if our Celtics go on this year and win it instead, you know what I'm doing? I'm taking the 23-24, and I'm going to move them right on up here above the 07-08, and everybody shifts down, and 2023-2024 Celtics will move right into this. Actually, they might move above my next one, too, if they win the title. But 07-08, this team, and this is a great team. Offensively, they were there. They weren't one of the best. This isn't one of the best, offensive championship teams that we're seeing on these lists between the two of us. But defensively, they were absolute menaces. 98.9 defensive rating, first in the league. That led them to a net rating of 11.2, which is even better than the one that we have this year. Finished 66-16. Went into the playoffs. This is one of the teams that they were very good, obviously, and we recognize how good this team was and how good the Big Three was. But something that kept me putting them down here at 6 and below some of these teams that you might be like, oh, that's interesting going forward. If you remember, for as dominant as this team was, and yes, the East was pretty good this year too. This is when you're getting, I think you got like Dwight Howard, Orlando Magic. And they're 59-23 around this time. You get into this team was great in the year, regular season, 13-2 in November, 13-1 in December, 10-5 in January, 9-4 in February, 13-3 in March, 8-1 in April. But then you get into the playoffs, and this team went to 2 straight 7-game series in the first 2 against teams that, I don't. Obviously, it's warranted with the LeBron and the Cavs, but the fact that they went to 7 against this Atlanta team is always gonna rub me the wrong way. You get into the conference finals against Detroit, that goes 6. Probably didn't even need to go 6. I mean, you look at Game 4 there, you get absolutely manhandled, 94-75. This is supposed to be one of the greatest teams we had seen. That's what keeps me down here and puts me at number 6. But then, on the back end of that too, you can try to shoot them down for those first 2 rounds and how they played and got to Game 7. But then you get into the actual finals against, again, the Lakers. Had tight games, tight wins, tight losses all the way up to Game 5. Game 6, they went out there and absolutely beat the hell out of them. 131-92 in a closeout game. And that, all the bad taste you had in your mouth about this team in the first 2 rounds, they wiped it clean, definitely in that last game to take home the trophy. So I've got them at number 6 there.
Yeah, well, I mean, not jump the gun, but I have them pretty close coming up here. But I think it has to do with, yes, at this era having another big three. Maybe it was who really into the playoffs are you going to look to go? I mean, obviously Ray Allen was able to shoot, and then you have Kevin Garnett, who was a monster when he was in Minnesota, and then getting him to us. I thought that was an unbelievable trade.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously there's only one ball, and you have, this big three, but finally seeing Paul Pierce in that game 6 put the team on his back and say, yep. I'm the captain, give me the ball. But
it's a great team.
But my number 6 is the 2003 New England Patriots.
Okay, wait. This is, damn, did I not have these? 2003.
2003.
Oh, 203?
203, yep.
Is that the one? This is the Panthers team, right?
Yeah. Yep. The
Okay.
Panthers team. Yep. Team.
Okay. Yeah. That's interesting. Wait, no. 2002? No. 03.
Well, I do the year that the 03.
It was 03, 04, I think, because 02, 03. I mean, 2002 season we were 9-7. Patriots season 2003. Yes, this is the one. So it's 03, 04. But yes, I know what you mean. Yeah, the 14-2 against. Yeah. Okay. I mean,
again, you build through the draft. Eugene Wilson, Asante Samuel, Dan Klecko, Bethel Johnson, Dan Copen. So yeah, I mean, I liked this team. Not real, obviously flashy, but with running back wise. But you go 14-2, and another comeback win against the Panthers. But this is where I put this team. I think again defensively with Rodney Harrison, Ty Law, Richard Seymour, and Teddy Bruschi, definitely capped again. And that's what we've been talking about, where we think this upcoming Patriots are going to go. Defensive team over offense.
Yeah. This was actually the team I think I left off out of all of the good Patriots teams that I know. One of my favorite things about this team, though, before I move on to my other one, and I'm pretty sure, I think where they talked about it the most was that ESPN documentary series that they did on Tom Brady. What was that? Two off seasons ago?
Yep.
Yeah. That one, my favorite, I'm obviously going the first of 2 back-to-back here, and the second in 3 years. But one of my favorite things about this team is how week 1, you get blown out by the Bills, 31-0. Everybody was so worried about this and everything. And then you come back to week 16 and you play that team again and you put up 31 points. 31-0 win again, just like how the year started off. I think that's so funny. It erased all the doubt. This was a great team.
Yeah, and I think it was the beginning of questions about Bill Belichick and his GM. You end up trading Lawyer Malloy to the Bills.
Yeah, what was that? That was on like Thursday, right? The game's on like Friday. It was like on Thursday or something. Everybody's so worried about it. Lawyer comes out and plays and kicks ass that game. I'm pretty sure because he was mad, and I understand. Yeah, but then you come back and you do that to him in week 17, and it feels great. So okay, top 5 here. Top 5.
Top 5.
And we'll try to wrap this up a little quicker. So for number 5, the second team on this list I have that didn't end up winning their championship. I have the 2022-2023 Boston Red Sox. 65, or not Boston Red Sox, Boston Bruins. Wow. I was like, fucking, yeah, hopefully they didn't have only 65 wins and they're not on this list as a baseball team. 65, 12, and 5, 135 points total. Broke the NHL record. Second in goals for at 305. First in goals against at 177 with an absolute kick-ass goalie tandem there. Of course, though, only to come through and blow the 3-1 lead in the first round to the Florida Panthers and sadly not advance. I loved this team, man, and this one hurt. I mean, you and me were there watching some of these games on vacation during this series, and I ended up seeing Game 7 back here at home where we lost that one with 52 seconds to go when we were up, I think 3-2 already, and you know, that one definitely sucked, but still, you cannot knock this team. 135 points in the regular season is absolutely insane. I mean, Pasta was absolutely incredible throughout the year. So was everybody else, honestly. And you've got some of the great guys, you know, like Krejci and Bergeron that had a sneeze coming there. They're like last year's with us. And I think it could be different if we were doing this directly after the offseason. This would sting a little more, and I would probably bring this team down. Not as high up on my list. But to be able to see everybody wrote us off this year, man. Oh, they lost too many people. There's no way they can emulate that success again. No way that this Bruins team, they might not even make the playoffs. Blah, 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 blah. Bullshit here, bullshit there. All of that aside, we are still second in the East now. So this team was able to carry over the success, which I think is huge. And you can really say that last year's team established most of that winning culture,
that mentality,
winning mentality. And at least, you know, while that loss to the Panthers does hurt and giving up that series, they then go on to beat, I think, the Maple Leafs in 6 games? No, 5 games. They go to beat the Maple Leafs in 5 games, and then the next team, the Carolina Hurricanes in the Eastern Conference Finals, who we thought may have been our biggest threat all year, the Canes didn't even get a game against them. Right. The Canes got swept in the conference finals. And so I look back at it now and I'm like, yes, that loss sucks. But we at least got 3 off these guys. And they went all the way to the finals and they look damn good and they're number 1 in the East right now. So, I mean, they were not your regular 8 seed. They had way too many injuries throughout the year and just skated in to get there. And then once they got to the playoffs, they get to bring the team back together, and you're facing a team that should have been a fucking 3 or 4 seed at the 8 seed. We got a shit draw, but we still put up 3 there. And, you know, I wish it would have ended differently, but you get the President's Trophy. We know how that curse goes, and now we'll see what we can do this year, but I got them at 5.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good 5. I think obviously the memorable part is watching Brad Marchand and Patrice Bergeron with that hug at the end of the game there, and just that breakdown that Marchand had. So, again, great team. President's Cup, just ran through the year, but very offensive and defensive. I mean, you have 1A, 1B with the goalie situation, but I think we already alluded to where I put my teams.
Maybe. Go ahead and give us your number 5 here, Dan.
Well, my number 5 will be quick because we already touched on them, the 07-08 Boston Celtics.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, so we are very close there. Okay. Moving on then. We get to number 4. Still top 5. Now we're top 4. Fuck. I didn't mean to exit that out, but that'll work. For my number 4, I think this is the first that we've mentioned this team. The 14-2 Super Bowl champion 2016 New England Patriots, or as most people know this team as the 28-3 Patriots. The greatest comeback in any sport ever. Ever. I mean, this was incredible, the 28-3 comeback. And some people may fault this team for getting themselves in that situation. I say good teams get themselves in that situation. Great teams get themselves out of it, and that's what we fucking did. We went down 25 points in the biggest game of the season, and still come back to win it. Oh my god! And I can still, I know it. James White to the outside gets in. Oh my god! And Brady's got his fifth, and this was just an incredible team. The 2 games before this against the Texans, beat them pretty handily. Same thing with the Steelers in the AFC Championship. Do keep in mind this team, like I said, 14-2. This was also the team that this is also why they're so high for me. This was the fuck you Goodell team. This was the team that had Tom Brady suspended for 4 games at the start of the year, and one of those losses was against the Bills when Jacoby Brissett had to fill in because Garoppolo was hurt for this week, and we lose that game 16-0. With a non-suspended Brady on our side for this whole entire year, we're going 15-1. We're only losing that game to the Seahawks in Week 10 again. And I mean, we're still winning it all, but I honestly, looking back on it, man, and the memory that I have of us and my buddies there watching this game and watching this comeback, I wouldn't trade this season for the world. I want to do it the exact same way. I want to see the comeback the exact same way. I want to see everything about it. This team was absolutely great. I got them at number 4.
All right, my number 4 is I guess I did this wrong with the dates and all, but I got the 2004 Patriot winning 14-2 team. I loved how. So previously, I just said.
Wait, so you mean this is the Eagles team?
The Eagles, yep.
Okay, so where I have them at 7. Okay.
Yep. I loved how previously I just mentioned Belichick, GM, trading away Lawyer Malloy. I loved how this year we just replaced Antoine Smith with Corey Dillon and just keep on running that ball. I loved how he was able to plug in these running backs for a while. And again, defensive team and winning it in the end against Philadelphia Eagles. So I have them at number 4.
Like I said, man, I like you mentioned about Corey Dillon. I mean, it's absolutely amazing there. 1,600 yards is nothing to bat an eye about. That's great for a running back, especially now when you think about it. We're thinking about this in a 17-game perspective. They're only playing 16 back then.
Yeah.
So it's even more impressive for sure. That is a good team. All right. Top three. So we are not new to this team, as obviously Dad mentioned them a little earlier. At my number 3, this is where I have the 07-08 16-0 New England Patriots. Now, I know it's a little high, and people are going to come at me and be like, yeah, but there's no championship. Dude, I don't fucking care. Did you see this team? Did you actually see this team on the field? I know we didn't get the championship, and it's going to suck, and it's always going to haunt us because we could have had the first undefeated season. And I still have freaking nightmares about the David Tyree catch.
Yes.
But all that aside, if you take all of that aside, this team was arguably the greatest football team ever. Ever. Not even just Patriots team. Ever. So yes, I have them at 3, and it would have been awesome to see them win this game. But I mean, you touched on it. The fucking some of the beatdowns in the regular season and just the offensive strength of this team. I mean, dude, they averaged 36.8 points per game. That is insane. That is over 5 touchdowns a game. It's disgusting. And then they were 4th in defensive points per game at 17.1. This team was gross. Should have won it all. Fuck the Giants, but I got them at number 3. What about you?
My number 3 is the 2018 Boston Red Sox team. Yeah, we haven't touched on them. 108-54. I think, beginning of the John Henry process and putting, what was this? Alex Cora's first run.
It was.
Yeah, no, I loved this team. World Series winners. I have them at number 3.
Man, this is awesome. Because I think I know. Oh, actually, maybe I Maybe I don't know. I know where one of your next two is because it's my next one.
Okay.
Not 2018, but I know that this might be your number one. Then I want to see. At number two, this is where I have the 2004 Boston Red Sox.
Me too.
Yeah, this team, obviously, you bring it back in the first title in how many years was it? Like 92, 98 or some shit.
86 years.
86. I was close, whatever. It's up there. And the thing is, like, there's the story of that, which makes this obviously a big championship year. But one thing that you will never be able to take away from us from this year, outside of the ring, outside of the sweep in the World Series, is the fact that in the arguably the greatest sports rivalry across all leagues, we came back from 3-0 in the ALCS to come back and beat the New York Yankees here, man. This team was fucking great. Team was great. Yeah. And I mean, some of the dude, you just go down the list here. Jason Varitek, Kevin Millar, freaking Manny Ramirez, Johnny Damon, Gabe Kapler, David Ortiz, Kevin Youkilis, Nomar, Trot Nixon, Dave Robert. I mean, dude, this team was stacked. The pitching, Bronson Arroyo, Kurt Schilling, Derek Lowe, Tim Wakefield, Pedro Martinez is an absolutely disgusting top five there. And yeah, this team was super good, man. This team was really, really good. And I wish I could remember more of it because obviously it was an amazing story and everything like that. But I am still happy that, like you've mentioned before in this podcast, I saw it happen. And this is what led me down the path of being such a huge Boston sports fan. So I have a lot of love for this team, a lot of love for this title. I got them at number 2.
Yeah, number 2, and just following up, I mean, look at this. Derek Lowe closes out against the Anaheim Angels, the winning pitcher. He does it against the New York Yankees, and he does it in the World Series.
Yep. Just goes to show, man.
And you have Kurt Schilling as your ace, but it was Derek Lowe that ended up coming through in the playoffs. Yeah, I think at that point he was, underrated. Came from Seattle Mariners. We ended up getting him.
Yeah, I remember that now because I think, what was it, last week or 2 weeks ago, you asked me the question, and I said Papelbon, that was 07, but instead you were like, no, Derek Lowe. I remember that now.
Well, Keith Folk was the one who caught the last. And threw it to, I forget the first, I know his first name, David. The first baseman, Mikovich or whatever. He came from Minnesota. He still has the ball.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You can give it to me. That'd be pretty cool.
That would.
All right. Well, then, that brings us over to number 1. And I'll start off the end of our list here. You just mentioned him. I think it's your number 3. But I think this is, the way that I view this team is if the 22-23 Bruins would have won the title with them breaking their record in the regular season and everything, they would have been up here contending with this team. But this team put up insane amount of wins. We got 108 in the regular season, 108 and 54. I think we finished it out at, what was it, like 119, I think, after the playoff wins.
Yep.
Somewhere around there. Absolutely historic. I still remember watching this. I had a huge exam the next day in college, but I sat up and I was in the lobby of the library just watching game 5 there. Chris Sale goes out, throws it. He gets Manny Machado on the slider. Everybody's out there like they're studying and everything like that. They're so excited. I went fucking nuclear in the lobby because we just won the World Series. It was awesome. This team was so much fun, and this was the team too that what did they start out, dude? It was like 27-2. Am I thinking that right? I think they had an absolutely like insane start to a year. I'm pretty sure it was 27-2 and had a run of like 19 straight wins at some point.
Yes, that's correct. Yep.
Or 21-2. Is this a no? 17-2. That was the run through 19. Finished off. I mean, they won 21-7 in March and April, 18-11 in May. 17-10 in June, 19-6 in July, 18-9 in August, 15-11 in September. This team was so much fun, man, and this is, what I think about now. Until we got something to look forward to for the Sox again, I'm gonna keep clinging on to the 2018 title team. And we just moved on from Chris Sale and everything this offseason, and it's sad to see these guys go, but you'll never be able to take this season away from me. This is the most. Did this happen after? Yeah, this happened after the Rams-Pats Super Bowl that year too. Then, because that was in February. So this is my most recent championship that I've seen. The one I was the oldest for, and the one that I could, I was the biggest fan for, and that big about the sports. It's my most recent one. It's the one I'm going to hold on to for a long time. I love this 2018 Red Sox team, and that's why I got them at my number one.
My number one is the 85-86 Boston Celtics. 67-15. And what I remember is bringing in Bill Walton. And the guy just had a history of injuries, and he ends up playing 82 games this year. Or I'm sorry. Awesome. No. 80 games.
Still.
One of the things that I had written down in remembering these players, Scott Wedman, I was a big fan of him as well. Loved him coming off and giving Larry Bird some rest and all. But Larry Bird ended up into the playoffs playing 268 out of the 288 minutes.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is absolutely wild.
But I mean, just having Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, Larry Bird, and Bill Walton on that court, that front court, and some of the passes that were able to be made from those guys, you could just plug and play them. Yeah, I think Bill Walton. You can watch another documentary. I think that was on ESPN, just talking about his fond memories and him as a player, and he will always mention about coming in and playing with this team and how nervous he was in training camp. And I just remember some incredible passes that he was able to make at that power forward position, just to Larry Bird. It was a sick team.
Did they have a 30 for 30 on Bill Walton? Is that what I'm thinking about? The one that you're talking? Yeah. Yep. Okay. I think I have seen that. I was like, I know I've seen something about him. It's got to have been that one. But
I mean, ends up winning the 6th Man of the Year award.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, for a guy that was broken.
Yeah.
Absolutely broken, and ends up playing 80 games out of 82.
It's a great story behind it too. Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, that's the 10. I'll go through quickly here, just the honorable mention. Do you have any as well that you wrote down, or did you just have your 10?
I have my 10, but I think that honorable mention that I was looking to put in, which is so funny because we haven't done any Red Sox talk, and my honorable mention was the 78 Red Sox. So if I had them honorable mention and then I had 2 Red Sox, number 3 and number 2, for all those that don't think we love the Red Sox, yes, we do.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about that when I made this. I was just like, we don't talk. I mean, we talk shit on the Red Sox, but I got my number 1, number 2, and number 8 with the Red Sox. So don't ever say we don't like the Red Sox here, guys.
Exactly. Don't say
we don't like the current Red Sox, but we love the Red Sox. Okay, we will turn it around this year, hopefully. All right. Well, then the other honorable mentions I had, like I mentioned earlier, 2010, 2011 Bruins. I got the 01-02 Patriots. 2018, 2019 Patriots. Again, those are the Rams Patriots, but I mean that whatever about that Super Bowl. We've talked about that before. And then I got the 2018, 2019 Bruins, who ended up losing to the St. Louis Blues in 7. And then as well as whichever one that you were talking about that I didn't have on here, I think, yeah, it's the Panthers Patriots. 03, 04. I wish I had included them in here too in the honorable mentions. So that's going to be that. And that's going to be the end of that segment, and in turn, our episode here. Before I wrap this up, Dad, do you have anything last that you would like to say to the listeners before episode 7 is done?
Our longest episode so far. I hope you stay and listen to the entire thing. Upcoming. We have some exciting opportunities upcoming. A interview that we're planning with a local sports club, soccer club down here. We have, I think, in March, a very exciting opportunity for our fans to get some fan engagement with as we head into NCAA time. So those things are upcoming. Why don't you let the listeners know again how they can reach out?
Yeah, for any questions or anything else you would like to say, as always, on all social media platforms, we've got the Twitter and the Instagram set up at A New Era Podcast. On Facebook, the name is once again just A New Era Podcast, same name that we've got on whatever listening platform you are streaming us on right now. And then our email, a new era podcast at gmail.com. If you got any comments, questions, concerns, you want to let us know. If you did enjoy the episode or have enjoyed any of the previous ones so far, we would highly appreciate if you go in there. You can leave a rating on any platform that you're doing, 5 stars, and we'll give you a nice little hug. Or you can follow us on any of your streaming platforms as well to be notified of what time every Monday our new episodes come out. I think I wrapped that up. I think that was good. Yeah,
that's good. That's it.
That's it.
The Facebook for us old folks.
I said Facebook. It's just A New Era Podcast. Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't listening.
Yeah, I know. We tuned out. It's been too long, right? We fucking. Oh yeah, it was almost. No, it wasn't 2 hours. All right. Well, that's gonna be it, guys, listeners. Thank you guys so much. Episode 7. Now
Episode
done.
7.
That is crazy. We have done this for seven weeks now. And
no, 6 weeks. We did a back-to-back.
Yeah,
1 and 2 we did quick, but
good point. Well, we'll be back in the 7th week for episode 8 next Monday. Have a great week, and we appreciate you guys listening, tuning in. Bella's got to go potty. It's about time to wrap this up. So that'll be it for this episode, and I'll catch you guys and you next week, then.
Love you, son.
Love you too.